Lesson 2.5 is literal equations and formulas. A literal equation is an equation that involves two or more variables. Alright, problem type 1 is rewriting literal equations. So we're going to solve the equation 10x plus 5y is equal to 80 for y. So 10x plus 5y is equal to 80, and we're going to solve for y. So I'm going to circle the term that contains y. What's happening to it? It's adding a positive 10x. So we're going to subtract 10x. That leaves 5y is equal to negative 10x plus 80. And I just always like to leave the term that has the variable first and your constant be last. Alright, we're trying to solve for y, so what's happening to y here? Y is being multiplied by 5, so we're going to divide by 5. And y is equal to negative 10x over 5 plus 80 over 5. Negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2x plus 80 divided by 5 is 16, right? So when we solve for y, we get y is equal to negative 2x plus 16. Alright, then we're going to use the rewritten equation to find y when x is 3 and x is 6. So the first thing we're going to do is x is equal to 3, and then we're going to solve it for x is equal to 6. So I'm going to use this equation. Y is equal to negative 2x plus 16. And in the place of x, I'm going to put 3. So y is equal to negative 2 times 3 plus 16. So y is equal to negative 6 plus 16. So y is 10. So when x is 3, y is 10. Alright, what about when x is 6? We're going to use the same equation and plug 6 in. So y is equal to negative 12 plus 16. So y is equal to 4. Alright, so what I did is I solved this given equation for y. I got y by itself, and then it asked me to use this equation and find y when x was 3 and x was 6. Well, when x was 3, y is 10, and when x is 6, y is 4. Alright, solve the equation 4 is equal to 2m minus 5n for m. Then find what are the values of m when n is negative 2, when n is 0, and when n is 2. So this is the given equation. 4 is equal to 2m minus 5n, and we're asked to solve that equation for m. So what's happening to the term that contains m? We're subtracting 5n, so we're going to add 5n. So I have 5n plus 4 is equal to 2m. Alright, well I want to get m by itself. What's happening to m? It's being multiplied by 2, so I'm going to divide by 2. So I have 5n over 2 plus 4 over 2 is equal to m. Well, 5n over 2 doesn't simplify, but 4 over 2 does simplify to 2. Alright, then we're going to use that same equation and we're going to solve what is m when n is negative 2. So I'm going to use 5n over 2 plus 2 is equal to m, and I'm going to put negative 2 in the place of n. So it's going to be 5 times negative 2 divided by 2 plus 2 is equal to m. So this is going to be negative 10 divided by 2 plus 2, which is negative 5 plus 2 is m. So m is negative 3. So when n is negative 2, m is negative 3. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing for 0 and 2. Alright, n is 0 and n is 2. And I'm going to use the equation 5n over 2 plus 2 is equal to m. Alright, I'm going to plug 0 in. And what happens when I plug 0 in? I'm going to have 5 times 0 divided by 2 plus 2 is equal to m. 5 times 0 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So when n is 0, m is 2. Alright, what happens when n is 2? 5 times 2 divided by 2 plus 2 is equal to m. 5 times 2 is 10 divided by 2 plus 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 plus 2 is 7. So when n is 2, m is 7. Alright. Problem type 2 for lesson 5 is rewriting a literal equation with any variables. With only variables. So we're given the equation ax minus bx is equal to c, and we're supposed to solve for x. Alright, so both of these terms have an x. So this is kind of like the opposite of the distributive property. So if I pull x out, then I have a minus b is equal to c. And that works because if you did the distributive property, you would get ax minus bx. Alright, so now we're going to look at x. Here's x. What's happening to x? It's being multiplied by the quantity a minus b. So we're going to divide by the quantity a minus b. These divide out, and I have c is equal to c. X is equal to c divided by a minus b. Alright, solve negative t is equal to r plus px for x. First of all, I'm going to find the term that contains x. It's being added to a positive r, so we're going to subtract r from both sides. So that's negative t minus r is equal to px. Alright, now what's happening to x? Here it's being multiplied by p, so I'm going to divide both sides by p. And that leaves negative t minus r divided by p is equal to x. And once I get x by itself, I'm finished with that problem. Alright, y is equal to x minus v all divided by b. X is what we're solving for, and it's in the numerator. What's happening to the numerator? Here it's being divided by b, so we're going to multiply both sides by b. So I get by is equal to x minus v because the b's cancel out. Now what's happening to x? It's being subtracted by v. So we're going to add v to both sides. So that's by plus v is equal to x. Okay. Rewriting a geometric formula. So we're given the formula, the circumference of a circle, and it's C is equal to 2 pi r. What is the radius of a circle with a circumference of 64 feet? So it's asking us for the radius. So we're going to need to solve this equation for r. So the first thing I'm going to do is solve this equation for r. What's happening to r? It's being multiplied by 2 pi, so we're going to divide by 2 pi. So I have C divided by 2 pi. 2 and pi divide out, so I'm left with r on the right. So I've got the equation r is equal to C divided by 2 pi. Alright, now I'm going to look back at my problem. It says, what is the radius of a circle with a circumference of 64 feet? So I'm going to put 64 in the place of circumference. And it says round to the nearest tenth and use 3.14 for pi. So I'm going to say 2 times 3.14. So that's 64 divided by 6.28. 64 divided by 6.28, and r is equal to 10.191, and I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth, so r is equal to 10.2. Alright, so the radius of the circle with a circumference of 64 feet is 10.2 feet. Alright, solving equations with lots of variables just takes lots and lots of practice. So go back and watch these examples again. Make sure you understand everything that I'm doing. And then when you get in Math Excel, make sure if you're having trouble that you use the show me how to solve this and view an example. And make sure that you don't have any questions. And if you do, let me know.